What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, I'm kind of delighted, if I'm honest with you, because Ceresmon, I've made no secret of the fact, is one of my favourite Digimon coming around in Union Impact. I'm a big Ceresmon fan, and it turns out that Ceresmon is one of the very, very best decks around at the moment. The lovely folks over at TCG Review, brilliant Twitter handle you should all be following, have been collecting together tournament results, and one of the most successful decks right now is Ceresmon. So I hit DTCG Review up on Twitter and I was like, hey, can you link me to a deck list, which is pretty cool, that I can use to show the lovely ladies and gentlemen who watch my videos what a winning Ceresmon deck list looks like? And of course they did, because they're awesome. Lovely. We'll get to Ceresmon in a minute. We need to start off like we always do with the Digitama. And we got a couple different options here. The one that generally tends to be played as the most of, and in this particular list, we got a 3-2 split. The free is Minamon. Because if this card is attacking an opponent's Digimon, you get an extra 1,000 power until end of turn. No, it doesn't work when you're attacking Security, the player, but it does work against Digimon, and bearing in mind green are generally a little bit underpowered in some ways, that ain't too bad. I'll take that. The other one we see as a 2 of here is Argamon, the one that came around in Ultimate Power. If this Digimon becomes active during your active phase, you gain a memory. You don't need any of those tricks to make your Digimon active mid-turn or any of that. Just, if it becomes active during your active phase, yay! You gain a memory. So you've either got extra power or extra memory as the matchup demands. Now, in terms of your level 3s, we are going for Argamon here. And the reason we're going for Argamon, very simply, is it is a 2 cost to play normally. 0 cost to evolve is standard, 3,000 power is, I mean, alright for a level 3 to be fair. But we're playing it because it's a 2 cost to play normally. As we say a lot on the channel, because you get one breeding phase every turn, you basically take 2 turns to hatch a DIGI-EGG, evolve it, and move it into the battle area. So a lot of your level 3s are going to be played normally. Playing for 2 cost is good, although we are going to break that breeding area rule. We'll get there in a moment. So there's 4 copies of that. There's also 4 copies of Goblinmon. You might notice that Goblinmon looks exactly the same as Argamon, and it is. They are the exact same card, other than the name and the artwork, because they're 2 cost to play normally, and we want to get them into play. That's the goal here. We're trying to build up to our level 6s, so having some level 3s that you can play cheaply and easily is good. The last level 3 we actually see here is Agamon, who has come around as pretty much every colour so far, and will do by the end of it, one would imagine. But we're talking the green one here that came around in Ultimate Power. It's just got an inheritable skill, whereby this Digimon gains an extra 1,000 power on your turn. So now, of course, what you're doing is you're using your Minamon, and you're using this, and now all of a sudden, when you're attacking a Digimon, you get plus 2,000 power. So now you're actually going to be taking out your opponent's Digimon without getting KO'd yourself. You're jumping above some of the other powerful Digimon in the format. This is good. We like this. Now, moving over into level 4s, we actually have a lot of level 4s here. We've got, I mean, one of the ones we kind of have to play here is Woodmon. Just because we need a blocker. Woodmon is very much like the blockers we saw in the starter decks. It's a level 4 blocker, and when you attack, you lose 2 memory. You don't want to attack with Woodmon. Giving up the memory will rarely be worth it on a 6,000 power Digimon, though you can boost it up as we've seen. But honestly, most of the time here, it's there as a blocker. Your opponent's attacking a resting Digimon that you don't want them to, or they've got security attack plus 3 and they're attacking the player. Redirect it to Woodmon. We see that pretty much every deck plays some blockers. This is the blocker here. But we're also playing Argamon, and this is going to be a bit of a theme throughout this deck, as you may have been able to guess. The level 4 Argamon is a 2 cost to evolve, but it's got download -2. That is to say that when you evolve into it, you may rest one of your Digimon to reduce the cost of evolution by 2, i.e. to evolve for free, which is kind of cool. I like that one quite a lot, although there does only appear to be 1 copy of that one. We do play 4 copies of Kabuterimon here, And this is something we see in an awful lot of green decks. It's a 1 cost to evolve. So you've got your nice cheap level 3s we've already seen, 2 cost to play normally, 0 cost to evolve. Then we bring in a level 4 that is 1 cost to evolve, and we are going to be rolling quite nicely here. This is a very cheap Digimon to get rolling. What is interesting, of course, is that we do actually have another green Digimon here that is a 1 cost to evolve and actually has an inheritable skill. It is Gargamon. And weirdly, it's got the same inheritable skill as Kabuterimon. Yeah, they are very similar cards. Kabuterimon is 1 more to play normally with an extra 1,000 power. Honestly, these are ones you want to be evolving, not playing normally. But they've both got the same inheritable skill that gives you plus 1,000 power for every one of your opponent's resting Digimon. So, right now, we're starting to look pretty good. Minamon is giving us extra power. Agamon is giving us extra power, and now Kabuterimon or Gargamon, whichever one you want, is giving you, and if your opponent's got 3 or 4 rested Digimon, that's 3 or 4 extra 1,000 power, and all of a sudden, green, which is being known initially as the weaker of the colours, often has lower power, but it's got tricks and cheaper evolution and all of that, is actually becoming super powerful, which is kind of ridiculous, but also kind of awesome. The other level 4 we do see here is a couple copies of Togemon, because when you evolve, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, put a level 5 or 6 or 7 Digimon, although we're not playing any 7s, into your hand, and put the rest of them on the bottom of your deck in any order. We like this. We like this an awful lot because it's just consistency. It's what green decks do. I've told you we've got a bunch that are cheaper to evolve. This gives you consistency, and essentially when we look at the level 3s and 4s together, what we get is easier, faster evolution and a whole bunch of extra power, and that adds up over the course of a game quite a lot. Now moving over into the level 5s, we have, stop me if you've heard this one before, Argamon, although this one at least we are playing as a 4 of. It's going to look very similar to the level 4 because it is very similar to the level 4. What we see here is a level 5 that's a 3 cost to evolve but has download -3, which is to say that when you evolve into it you may rest one of your other Digimon so that you can lower the evolution cost by 3. So essentially you end up evolving for 0 memory. I said we're going to get into our level 6s more easily and more cheaply than in other colours, and that is absolutely true here. It does also have an awesome inheritable skill, whereby when you are attacking, you may play a level 3 green Digimon from your hand at rest, i.e. you play it in rest mode so your opponent, or suspended, so your opponent can immediately attack it if they wish, but you're playing it from your hand without paying the cost. That's still pretty gosh darn good. So yeah, you even play an extra Digimon. That is, well, rather wonderful, if I may say so, ladies and gentlemen. Rather wonderful. Now, there are a couple of other level 5s we see here. Cherrymon actually comes out as another blocker. We've already seen Woodmon as a blocker. Well, now we got Cherrymon as a blocker. We got 3 of each of them. That's 6 blockers in total. This is a blocker you can attack with. You don't give up memory to do so. And really what we're looking at here is just a more powerful blocker. It's another blocker. And what we're doing is having a lot of options so that if our opponent is trying to win the game before we're set up and doing our tricksy things, if our opponent is trying to take out our lovely level 6s, we've got more options than usual to stop them doing so. And there is one other level 5 we see here. It is Blossommon. 3 cost to evolve, but you've got download -3. So you can suspend one of your Digimon to evolve it for free. No, we don't like Blossommon as much as we like Argamon, because Argamon's also got download -3, but it's got that really nice inheritable skill. But we're already playing 4 copies of Argamon, so we might as well add in Blossommon as well. Now moving over into the level 6s, it probably would be a little bit rude if we didn't start with Ceresmon here. Ceresmon also has download -3. You can rest one of your Digimon to reduce the cost by 3. So evolve it for 2. So this one isn't actually evolving for free like the others. You'll still have to pay 2 memory. But the amazing skill here is limited to once during your turn. When you're using download to lower the evolution cost of your Digimon, you may rest your opponent's Digimon. And as I've been going through here, I've told you that a lot of the Digimon we're playing have download. So what you're essentially doing now is when you've got Ceresmon up, not only are you still evolving up your Digimon more cheaply and more easily than your opponent, but you're, once per turn at least, resting your opponent's Digimon while you do so. That is ridiculous, and that is going to add up over the course of a game. Now, the other level 6 we see played in decent numbers, there's 3 of them here, is also from Union Impact. We've got Mega Gargamon. When you Digivolve, you rest one of your opponent's Digimon, and it doesn't become active during your opponent's next active phase. So what you're essentially doing is just taking one of their Digimon out of the game for a couple turns, which is awesome. And on your turn, if your opponent has a rested Digimon, you get security attack +1. That is to say, you take out 2 security cards rather than 1. Now, a lot of the time, your opponent is going to have a rested Digimon because they've attacked, etc. But you know what? Even if they don't have a resting Digimon themselves, you've got Ceresmon's ability that can rest one of them, which is awesome. There is one other level 6 here we play just as a one-off. It is the Puppetmon that came around in Union Impact. And the Puppetmon here is a very nice card, because when you play, you rest one of your opponent's Digimon, and during your opponent's next active phase, all of your opponent's Digimon cannot be made active. Now, do remember this is a play skill, not an evolution skill, so you do have to pay 11 cost to play Puppetmon normally in order to do this. But against decks like Rookie Rush that are just trying to flood the board with cheap attackers, you can basically just turn them all off, which is brilliant. It's an expensive card, but if you play it at the right time, firstly, you rest one of your opponent's Digimon, which is lovely, but secondly, none of them activate. That is beautiful. Or unsuspend. Any that were unsuspended anyway can still be used, but again, dropping at the right time can be an absolute game changer. We are starting to see Puppetmon popped in more and more as a one-off, and you can kind of see why when you look at the skill. Now, in terms of Tamers, we got 2 copies of Mimi Tachikawa, and I've made no secret that this is my favourite Tamer that we've had. At the start of your turn, if your memory is 2 or less, it becomes free. That's something we see on a lot of Tamers. But it basically gives you an extra breeding phase if you've got a level 5 or more green Digimon. You may rest Mimi Tachikawa and either hatch a DIGI-EGG or move a level 3 or above Digimon from the raising area to the battle area. Bearing in mind, they're the 2 things you're allowed to do in your breeding phase. So essentially, each Mimi you can get down, and there's 2 in the deck, gives you an extra breeding phase. That is ridiculous. Favorite Tamer in the game. Now, in terms of option cards, obviously we're playing Flower Cannon here. It's a 2 cost that rests one of your opponent's Digimon. It's pretty gosh darned awesome. You see it in every green deck, essentially. But we also see a couple of copies of a new option card that just came around in Union Impact. It's Hidden Potential Discovered. It is a 0 cost card. If one of your green Digimon would Digivolve this turn, you may suspend one of your Digimon to reduce the memory cost by 5. It essentially gives download -5 to one of your Digimon. Although you can't use it with Ceresmon's ability because it's not actually download. But it means that you can evolve Ceresmon for 0 without using your regular download. Or it means you can evolve Mega Gargamon for 0. I told you you're going to be evolving more easily and more cheaply. You absolutely do here. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a Ceresmon deck. I love this. This is right at the top of my list to test when Booster 1.5 comes out. Unfortunately, we're missing a lot, pretty much all of this deck in Booster 1.0, but do remember that the official release of Booster 1.0 is January and 1.5 is February, so there really isn't much difference between them, which is why we're looking at these decks now, because, you know, 1 month after the release of 1, we get 1.5 and we are ready to go. Expect to see me over on the Facebook groups trying to trade for Ceresmon so I can build this deck and have an awful lot of fun. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if you're buying this deck. I want to know if you think this deck looks good or whether you think it's just a bit overhyped as a new deck. Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.